And welcome back. Some dude here and AI. The AI we're working with again today is our ChatGPT agent. We're using 5.6 Sol on medium efficiency. I'm going to probably bump it up to high. And there we go. And speed, we'll probably do fast just because we're on the show. So you can see how I changed those settings real easy there. Oh, security issues. Dismiss. Um, Microsoft always getting in my way. So I swear I'm going to switch to a Mac. I've been saying it for years, but I'm going to drive this laptop until the wheels fall off. I do still plan on getting a Mac Mini to have, so I have two systems going. But we're getting off on a side tangent now. Back to work on our foundational website where we can put all our projects and web apps and everything that we build and blogs and AI stuff and you name it. It's our Swiss Army knife website, basically. So yesterday we went through a few things. We talked about a lot about context and management of a session where we're building. Today, we're going to do a little bit more building. Yesterday, all we did really was update the copywriting in this button. And because of our conversation and everything, it took about 30 minutes to do. But there's a few things I want to try to get done in this session. I want to, again, get our visitor counter up here. We'll see if that's even possible. And then I will. We need to add to one of our buttons our whisper flow because that is a huge tool. That's probably the number 2 tool right behind Codex that I use currently. And so I want to add my referral information here just to kind of complete that out a little bit. And then I do think we need to put some disclaimers and maybe some terms and conditions and policies in as well, just to protect myself. Since we're building in public, and who knows what could arise. But the one thing I gotta get good at though is everything that I'm doing here is for entertainment and educational purposes. None of this is business advice. None of this is investment or money advice. Um, yeah, I'm trying to figure all that out just like the rest of you. And I see all those other talking heads and all the other YouTube channels, and you know, take it all with a grain of salt, to include the information I give, because just because I think it's right and I think I know best doesn't mean I actually do. So take it all with a grain of salt and use your best judgment. So that being said, let's just jump in and get started. First thing I want to do, because I think it'll be the easiest thing to do, let's add our whisper flow down here. Uh, and one thing I am going to try to do this session is when I see that it's going to take a little bit of time for AI to work through something, I'll probably pause the recording and come back to it once it's done. So that way we can get multiple things done in a session and you're not sitting through the boring parts with me. When this show eventually goes live and I've got a webcam and a nice little studio and stuff like that, we can probably just go straight through and whatnot. But for now, that's what we're gonna do. So over to our whisper flow. Good afternoon. So I want to continue work on our Some Dude and AI site. Um, the homepage where we have our rows of and columns of buttons, action buttons for 03 to be determined. I want to use that one for our Whisper Flow referral link and information. So I'm going to screenshot the info and give it to you. And I want you to build that button out and build a simple but good looking subpage that gives the information to all of our followers out there. So if they decide to use Whisperflow, we can get a little bit of kickback for it. And definitely recommend Whisperflow. It's a huge time saver. So and talk about how much we use it in the copywriting, and it's pretty much the number one tool besides Codex right now. Okay. Did I just, yep, there it is. It took a little bit to process. So I'm going to do a quick scan just to make sure that all that translated well. Man, it looks like it's been listening. So I did something crazy. Let's see here. So this is why you want to double check this. So, like, for whatever reason, it was recording the whole time. So it got my whole intro to the video. And so, yeah, AI is not perfect and it makes mistakes. So definitely double check your work. You're a manager and a fact checker. Those are like my two main roles right now. Take it with a grain of salt. First thing I want to do is I'm just looking for where that prompt was supposed to begin. Okay, here we go. So everything up here is nonsense, not needed in our prompt. Yeah, and see, it didn't even it didn't catch everything. There's something weird going on there. I'll have to double check that. Okay, so we're gonna set that to work. It should go fairly quickly on that. Now, being that it's a simple task, I didn't ask it to build a plan and go into all sorts of in depth. And you'll see it is there's harder tasks that come up that I'll actually chat back and forth with it a little bit, with Codex a bit, and then come up with a plan. And then I'll make sure the plan looks good. And then we'll implement it. And, sometimes I'll have them use sub agents and everything else like that. But so it did come back with an actual plan. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I promised that I'd send a screenshot. It's like, dude, where's my screenshot? So let's pop open our Whisper Flow and our referral. See, I get a free month, but you get an awesome tool. Although it just kind of like wasn't all that awesome, right? Still better than having to type all that out for sure, but the accuracy that I normally get wasn't right there. So all we really need is this piece. Here we go. Copy that. Minimize. And there's its screenshot, and it's going to go back to work. But yeah, so in the Whisper Flow desktop app, you can see that everything that it'll keep track of all of this. So if you need to go back and copy paste something or double check something, you can. So and it's really really customizable. So and you can see that I'm going on average 117 words per minute. And you can see that it's no joke that I definitely use this. Like I've used a total of 612 words since I started using this app, this AI. So really good tool. Okay, so it is fast at work on everything here. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video for now, just while we're building out, and I'll jump right back into it as it finishes. Okay, so it actually came back and it's still working on stuff here, but it gave us a little view here to see the kind of what the subpage for Whisper Flow will look like. Oh, and let's see here. still kind of working on things there, so it's kind of jumping around. So I didn't give it very clear instructions with codecs, especially the newer models. Like, I'm okay if it flows things a lot of times, because a lot of times it knows all this design and user interface and all this work way more than I do. I actually learn from it quite a bit, and then learn from the mistakes that I make along with codecs. They're kind of our mistakes, and then I adjust my prompts from there. If I'm way off on something though, or it's way off on something, and then I'll come back in with a more detailed prompt. But I've noticed that keeping prompts more simple is a much better strategy with these more advanced models. Now, if I were to back out and go to like 5.4 or the GPT-4, I'd have a way more structured prompt, and have to give it a lot more context. And then, so another thing is I have a lot of plugins and skills already, uploaded through here. And we'll definitely do an episode or two on those, kind of go over and how they work. And maybe that's a thing that we'll add to the site, is the plugins and skills that I use. So that way, if you want to use them, you can recreate them and steal them too. A lot of this stuff can be found on GitHub, or you can easily make your own. But yeah, it looks like it's just building this awesome site. It looks really wordy and really in depth. I asked for simple. I I would say it's beyond simple. So, I mean, I like things to where people won't go cross-eyed when they looked at it, and or like the anxiety of over information or over technical comes in. So, if it comes out like this, we'll definitely simplify it uh, a bit. So, uh, that's one thing with codecs. Um, Sometimes Claude, it's hard to pull good information out of it. It just will work. But codecs, on the other hand, will just, sometimes it thinks that I'm a developer, and I'm definitely not. I'm just some dude. And it's going to bomb me like I'm a developer and I can understand everything that it's given. So sometimes I'll have to say bluff, which is bottom line up front. Just give me the important stuff. Or I'll say, keep it simple, plain English, please. Re-explain this, and that's a good way. If you got something that you're having a hard time wrapping your mind around with what you're building or what you're working on, or if there's a problem you don't understand, first thing is to get is clarity. That's where to start working on it, and ask it, hey, lay this out in layman's terms, plain English. Teach me what all this is, and then that way, when you have a better grasp, you can think through a problem with Codex. And Codex is really good at thinking through some problems. Um, when they're fairly straightforward, but sometimes it can't think outside the box to save its life. And that's where the human mushy meat sack brain comes in handy. But it's still working there, step 3 of 5. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here and come back when we've got some more to report. Okay, it's still thinking and working on stuff. It's actually hard at work. It's actually doing a lot. And like my last video, I did bring up that, reading through these um, replies back from Codex really helps you learn a lot, and you get an understanding of how it works. And so you've seen that the prompt we gave was fairly basic. I just talked to it using WhisperFlow. But look, it's already like testing the stuff that it's built. It's making sure that the new stuff that we built will be friendly on mobile devices, on smaller screens. We didn't talk about that stuff. So, and part of that is because of the skills that I've built into it. So it's got a set of instructions on how I like to build websites, and it's following those, so I don't have to reiterate it every time. So having skills and plugins that are tailored to your workflow really do help a lot. So, um, yeah, it's still going to town on this. It's definitely working hard, but just wanted to bring that up. That's something I noticed. But and another thing is, I'm going to try to do another video today. I'm actually going to. Oh, well, there's my TikTok notifications. I should probably set up my PC to go in like stealth mode or something when I'm doing these. See, I've got a lot to learn. Again, just some dude at AI. And without AI, I wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff. So, um, yeah, pretty cool, crazy times that we live in. Pretty exciting. I thought I would never geek out about building websites and stuff like that. I was definitely more of an outdoorsman, um, even just a few years ago. But what I was going to say is that I did place another wager on Kalshi for a baseball game today. The Atlanta Braves versus San Diego Padres. And so I'll probably do another show based on that. The one I did yesterday, I got another win, and I got a win the day before. So either I'm getting lucky or some things are actually kind of clicking. And I think that there's a lot to fine tune to where we can even raise our winning percentage a little bit more too. But I'll give part of the credit to being disciplined and sticking to the rules that I set forth in the beginning. And then when I got like last week and the week before, when I would get sloppy and get away from the rules that I set, I started taking losses. So, but again, not financial or investment or betting advice, just this, it's just a cool, fun experiment to show, two brains are better than one, mine and AI's. So meat sack mushy brain and electrical digital metal plastic brain. But all right, enough with me just rambling on. I'm going to go ahead and pause this and we'll come back when we got something to show. All right. So it looks like it finished up work. I just got a notification pop up. And sure enough, we've got a lot going on here. So let's refresh. Let's make sure that it deployed. It did deploy. So let's refresh our site. And yep, there's Whisper Flow. So there's a few things here automatically I see. We don't need the 03 to stay. And instead of the little microphone emoji, I'm going to see if we can find the actual Whisper Flow icon to use. So there's some corrections on that outside part. And then here's the subpage it did. So speech in, text out, and almost any text field. And that's very true. I use it on my phone. I use it to fill out forms. I play Atlas Earth, which is a mobile game, like a virtual property or real estate type game. But part of it is you can do surveys for Atlas bucks. And I have found at Whisperflow, I am doing much better in the surveys. Like I can just talk my answers, and instead of having to like hand jam things when I'm doing a survey from my phone, and I'm getting screened out a lot less. So I'm getting a lot more good surveys. And so, I mean, just that feature alone pays for itself, like me doing that. And I'm sure whatever interests and things you do, it will pay for itself in spades. But let's see, Whisperflow, talk faster, keep the thought. Not sure about that copywriting, keep the thought, but we might have to do some work there. Whisperflow turns natural speech into polished text in almost any text field. Alongside Codex, it is one of the tools some dude uses most because it gets ideas out and working and work moving. Yeah. I'm just able to hash things out with AI so much faster and cover so much more ground. It's not even funny. Try this 1 month pro. So we'll test that link here in a second. Let's read through the rest of this and we'll test links. Used all day, every day. The biggest benefit is simple. Speaking keeps the thinking moving. Some dude uses Flow throughout the day for prompts, copywriting, drafts, notes, and the messy first version of an idea. Absolutely. And you know where I really feel the pain of when I don't have Whisper Flow is at my 9 to 5 gig. I work online and I have to do in remote, so I have to do a lot of work through Teams and chat with a lot of different people. I so wish I had the ability to use Whisper Flow with the company that I work with. Man, my production and just that, not only would I be more productive, but my day would get easier. Like that, that's crazy, right? My day would get easier, but I'd be more productive without having to type and worry about grammar and spelling. It fixes all that stuff. And like when it realizes you're making a list, it'll bullet point a list. It's pretty cool. And this is probably the worst version of Whisper Flow ever. It'll probably only ever get better, just like a lot of these AI tools. We're using it like now compared to where it was last November. Last November, I struggled a lot, and now things are so much more easier. So it's just going to get easier and easier and easier. So, but yeah, prompts and drafts. Talk through a detailed prompt or a rough first draft without losing momentum. Yeah, you don't have to worry about sitting there typing everything out. You can just free flow and talk it. Notes and recaps, capture decisions, reminders, and the useful parts of a long thought while they're fresh. Ideas on the go. What we want. Social media, it's awesome. Like I can pop up my social media accounts and comment on things so fast and accurately. It's crazy. So I'm a lot more likely to comment and do a lot of things where if I didn't feel like having use my big old thumbs and hand jam something into my phone, I mean it just makes it so much easier. How the referral works. So use the referral link, get 30 days of pro, and then dictate 2,000 words. So let's see. Open Whisper Flow through the button on this page, create a new account, get 30 days of pro. Whisper Flow currently gives referred users a 30-day pro trial instead of the standard 14 days. After a qualifying referral reaches 2,000 dictated words or upgrades, some dude may receive 1 free month of pro. Yeah, hook me up. You got to hook up the dude. So it's a win-win for both of us. Let's see. Good disclosure here. Disclosure, plain and simple. If you sign up through referral link, you currently receive 30-day pro trial. If the referral qualifies, some do may receive 1 month free of pro. No one is paying us to say this. We recommend Flow because we use it constantly and find it genuinely useful. Oh, excuse me, I had an alarm set on my phone. Referral eligibility and terms can change. So this is Whisper Flow's current terms. So it's a link we'll have to test. So we got this link to test, Whisper Flow 1 month pro. 1 month pro. So this link should be the same as that bottom one. Let's see. Boom. You've been invited. Okay. So, all right. So that link works. This link works. And just to be safe, always double check all your links. Never assume. AI will bite you in the butt when you start getting complacent. Okay. Oh, yep. So that one worked as well. Let me close these extra windows down. And then I want to make sure that we're able to get back to our main page. So we got the back to projects, but this one should do it as well. So that works. Okay, back to projects. Okay, perfect. So we'll make the corrections here, and then we'll get correct or verify some copywriting and do another run through of that. So yeah, but I'm going to stop here for just a moment. I'm going to pause this video, and I will come back to it here in just a bit, and we'll continue work. Well, I'm having mental technical errors as well as recording technical errors on the PC here. I definitely need to upgrade my PC in the future. But long story short, I'm not sure when it cut off, and we'll fix that in editing. But yeah, I was talking to Whisperflow to make a prompt to have this session of Codex create a prompt so we can build this in the right repo, as we were working in the wrong folder. So I'm just going to copy paste that prompt in now. Maybe. There we go. And we'll have it get to work. So it should give us a nice little prompt, and we'll put it in the correct one. Yeah, that's just me not paying attention to detail. I'm excited to make this video and keep working on this, and lost focus of what I was doing. But Codex realized it and said something. Okay, it's just going over everything we worked on because I told it to do in detail. So it's gonna, here it goes. It's creating it right now. So I could have just said create a prompt and it would have just gave me something kind of basic. Probably would have worked. But if you say in detail, it goes the extra mile for sure. Look at all this information. So depending on what you're working on, which this is fairly simple, so this might be a little bit overkill. The other session would have been able to figure out a lot of this on the fly. But if you're working on something pretty technical and you need to move that information, this is a decent way. Holy heck. It's giving them a play-by-play. It's giving the plan, what we're trying to do, everything. All right, so look at that big prompt. That's a heck of a prompt. So we'll just copy that, and let's get into our correct repo. It's pulling everything up. So just waiting for it to load or anything. I don't want to get it working on a big prompt before it's finished loading. All right, yep, this is what we're working on. So please see the pasted prompt for guidance on the next task. Now, let's just see how it responds to this. It's thinking. So it read the handoff, and he's going to follow the guidance, and now it's planning, and it's spawning up sub agents and getting to work. Awesome. Okay. And so we've created a skill for our brand to keep things consistent. So it's going to use that. All right. So, yep, it's just reviewing where we're at. It's spawning. So it's spawning sub agents to go look and report back. So that way it's building off of the current setup, or at least, making sure the plan is ready for that. But this might take a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here again for a little bit, and we'll come right back as soon as we've got something that's cooking. All right, so it's still working, but reading through here, it did hit a little bit of an issue, but it's able to continue work on other areas. But essentially, it's got nowhere to store the count so it stays accurate. So there's no database or storage. So I haven't hooked up my Supabase to um, some dude in AI in our repositories for that. So I'm going to let it continue building. I'm not going to interrupt it, but once it is wrapped up there, we'll then change directions, and because we're going to need that Supabase for all sorts of different projects and things that we're working on this site. So it's actually not a bad thing that we have to start one or anything like that. It's gonna be needed one way or the other. So it looked like Codex was having a little bit of an issue. Like generally, it moves pretty quickly. So if it looks like it stalls out on something, it shouldn't. It's always good to try to steer it or ask if everything's okay. And if it doesn't respond to that real quick, something might be wrong with it. Just something I've learned. And you can always go to OpenAI's website and see, like, look for downtime reports and stuff. They do track that there. But I've got it steered towards Supabase now. And then initially it was trying to cram this into another um, project. And I was like, I don't want to intermix it. But one of the projects I see there is one that I stopped working for a little bit. I was trying the whole um, let's get an AI agent to trade, stocks and stuff like that on Robinhood. But I couldn't get it good enough to where I felt comfortable for it just to roll on its own. And there's a lot of talking heads on YouTube that are saying that they got their agents doing that for them, but there's no receipts. There's no receipts of them having success with it. And everything that I showed was, it was building, was showing that even with the most advanced models, that it was going to take a tremendous amount of work to fine tune an agent to be able to do that and be able to beat a human trader. So I kind of dropped that project. And so I'm thinking I'm going to ask it to rename this Robinhood Trading Brain, and let's just use that storage because I'm already paying for it. So that's kind of where I'm at. So Codex, the one Supabase project you found, Robinhood Trading Brain, that's been abandoned. I'm no longer working on that. Can we reuse that one for this and just rename it? Awesome. So it went and used the API connected to Supabase, went and talked to Supabase, came back, yep, we can use it. First audit is schema names and row counts. So it's doing an audit of that Supabase area, and then it's going to create a table specifically for the counter within there that we can use. And that way we don't have to pay another subscription, because I think it's like $10 a month per project for the data storage. So that'll save us a little bit of money by reusing one that we already had open that was kind of dead in the water. So while it's thinking, I opened up a new tab in the browser just to, give a little bit more information on Supabase. But Supabase is an open source backend as a service that acts like an alternative to Google Firebase. It provides developers with a full ready to use backend, including uh, PostgreSQL database, user authentication, file storage, and serverless edge functions. Yeah, a lot of tech terms there. So some of that stuff I'd love to look up. But like the two big things to note here is user authentication. So that's like your sign in type stuff. So if you're developing a site or an app that users have to sign into, they can do that. And you can even create like the Google sign in. Like, so, a lot of websites that you go to, people can use their Google accounts to quickly sign in. That way they don't have to go through the process of building a registration form or anything like that on there. So that's and then obviously the database, but um, yeah, it's a good tool. I've used it on a lot of my stuff, fairly affordable at $10 a month. So let's see. Just curious here. Um, so you can tell my computer's running a little slow. I'm recording, doing a browser search. Codex is working away over here. My computer's like, I hate you, dude. I'm too old for this crap. Um, so I think I guess, just to go in a side rabbit hole, I'm thinking that I want to get maybe a Mac Mini or some sort of PC desktop mini PC that I can sit on here that I can use just for this building and streaming and stuff like this. And then I can use my laptop more for like business operations and communications and things like that. Uh, so that's kind of where I'm at with it. And I've thought about the whole like, should I just create my own agent and have a machine it runs on and I can just task it out to do all sorts of stuff? You can definitely do that, but I really feel like that's more work than it's worth because you can really do all of that within Codex or even Claude. Um, like it can use my computer if I tell it to. It can use my browsers if I tell it to. We can schedule for things to happen. We can build all sorts of plugins and skills to automate things. And so to build a dedicated agent and everything that goes to support that agent seems like a lot of work and extra expenses. Um, and the thing with that, you have to pay for API credits too, which is like credits outside your normal usage, your monthly usage limits on Codex. Like if I was going to use a Chat GPT for an agent, it wouldn't be using this. I'd have to use API credits, and those are significantly more expensive when you have an agent working outside of um, the Codex harness or workbench. So I prefer just to keep it in house on all that. But I try to stay abreast on everything that's coming out new and how things are done. So um, if things ever change to where it's uh, efficient and economical, I might reconsider on that. I think there's just a lot of cool factor with the talking heads on YouTube having their agent that they name, they give it a name, and it's doing this and doing that while I'm out, playing golf or it's like the next Hermes agent upgrade or open Claude, da 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 da. I'm like, these agents built into Codex and then like the Claude desktop apps, they're just as good. And like you got so much, like the workbench built around them is so much better. Like you're building your own workbench around those. So like people like act like it's let's give it a name. It's gonna be my personal assistant robot and da 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 da. Da. You already got that here. So I don't know. I feel like they do it for clicks, and I feel like most of their work is done like just like this through either Codex or Claude. The vast majority of people. Some people are probably using other um, harnesses, and a harness is essentially a workbench. So like all these AI models, you can plug and play them. Like I can, like for example, we can switch models here, like from 5.2 to 5.6 in different versions of therefore. And the model is like the brains and the eight and the everything working. Now the rest of this built around it is the harness, which I call the workbench. It just makes more sense for me. And that's the tools it needs to complete the tasks and do the things that you want. Um, so, yep. And like one of the big things is like people can talk to their agents versus like chat apps and stuff like that from their phone. Well, the thing is you can do that through Codex too. You can um, use phone control. So I can walk away from my computer right now and it will keep working. But if I have like an idea or something pops up, I need to redirect it, I can go to the Codex app in my phone and totally, pick which repo and which session and projects and all that stuff I want to work in and give new instructions. And as long as my computer's powered on and logged in, it'll get to work via that. So it's like, I don't know. I'm not buying the hype on all those OpenClaw and Hermes agents and things like that. That's just my 2 cents. So one issue I have been having with Codex is the Chrome extension for their browser for browser control. So it can pretty much, take control of my internet browser and get things done that way. It's been really acting up. I noticed like on new sessions it'll work for a little bit, but the longer older the session gets, it's got connectivity issues and stuff for it. Like Codex has a hard time getting it connected, and I even had Codex build my own update for the extension to get it working for a while, but that already um, Codex itself, the company OpenAI, came up with a new update shortly thereafter, so that was all a waste of time. So that's one thing that they need to work. But the cool part is there's a workaround. I can just have Codex use my computer like it's me and access the browsers that way too. And so I just told it if you're having a hard time with that and getting into Supabase and doing that stuff, that I logged into Supabase in my browser and to feel free to use computer use if needed. So um, yeah, so it may take over control of my computer if it needs to, and it'll just start driving, and then I just sit back and let it do the work, kind of watch, or I can do whatever, work on other things. So we'll see. But for usually, if there's a hiccup, there's usually a workaround, or you can just fix the issue with AI. So, so it looks like we got Superbase built out. I probably have to go in and manually rename it, but I'll ask it to do it before I try to do that. But that's not a huge deal. It's just renaming the uh, project in Superbase to the correct project that we're working on so they match. But it looks like Codex has moved on to building our visitor counter. So we're making some progress. And this is a lot for a simple task, but we're actually doing some really big back end work here that will pay dividends in the future for a lot of the projects that we'll work on, having that Superbase set up. Well, we're getting closer to being done. One thing I really, really like about Codex, especially using the 5.6 Sol, is it will test the living bejesus out of items. Now, sometimes the tests aren't all that great in catching stuff, but it's a lot better than, past models of any company. Like it just ran 12 tests on the counter. It's not showing up here yet because it hasn't been pushed and deployed, but it yeah, it's really good at testing. Um, and then once it's done, I'll smoke test it to verify its work and make sure it's working. And smoke testing for I had to look it up because I never even heard of a smoke test before. It's like, what are we testing, marbles or something? But yeah, it's essentially back in the day when somebody was working on something as far as tech wise or um, electronics. The first test is turn it on and see if it works. And if you start seeing smoke, there's something wrong. And that's where the term smoke test comes from. So I thought that was kind of cool. And so while Codex is still working on this, let's just take a little tour because I was working on the coffee shop a bit yesterday and this morning. Again, and it's open for business. So you can definitely go there and buy coffee. But I was trying to get some more different brews in there, some different types, and some more merch in there. And I'm working on some like single source stuff. Let's see here. And I use Codex to build all of this. And a matter of fact, Codex does everything. It goes to Drip Shipper and builds out my coffee products that I want. I just give the approve on the designs and types and things that I like or want to sell. And then it created my Shopify store, gets all that coffee from Drip Shipper into the Shopify store. It gets the approval on the labels and everything that, marketing from Drip Shipper. It's even sending out emails for me. It's like doing the whole 9 yards. So it's like I've got an assistant running my coffee company for me. So and it's fairly automated, and it's even going to get more so. I still need to build out like the financial back end of it, just like tracking like a dashboard, so I can make sure that we're financially in the green running this coffee shop. But so far, I've invested. I bought one bag of coffee, the Dude's Blend, which I'm drinking right now, and it's pretty tasty. It's a good breakfast blend. You can add a little like vanilla creamer to it, and it goes pretty good there. Even without it, it's a good coffee. It's one of those coffees like you get it at like IHOP or something. It's kind of similar to that, the blend, and it's good with a hearty breakfast. Like I see this being good with like steak and eggs or bacon and eggs. Maybe throw some hot sauce on the eggs and pepper that steak up. And I'm gonna try each of these bags and put my own take on it. So you can see here the take that I just put on here on some dudes. So, and I'm going to start doing more of these build in Publix on the coffee shop as well. So keep in mind, this has been all of 2 weeks, and I've gotten everything that you've seen so far. And as part of that 2 weeks, I'm actually recovering from a surgery, and so I haven't even been able to work for like a good part of that 2 weeks. But what I'm proud of, and I'm waiting on permission from the uh, Drip Shipper. Sorry, lost my thought. Is I'm doing a single source type thing, like a passport edition. So, so I'm building these coffees that you'll be able to buy. And then there's the merch that can come with them. So if you're a fan of one of these coffees, you can get your cup with the passport logos, or you can buy a little sign if you got your own little coffee station at work or at the house. You can put your favorites up there. Just thought it was kind of cool. You can see the cups here for those. So we're going to have 4 to start with: Ethiopia, Peru, Bali, and Costa Rica. I'm a huge fan of Ethiopian coffees. I have not had a bad single source Ethiopian yet. I mean, not even close to bad. Like they've all been good. So I'm excited to try that. That's going to be the next one that I get, is going to be the Ethiopian one. So, but just wanted to show some of the progress on there. And I'm going to make sure that when I'm working on that, I'm building in Public as well. So yeah, kind of a cool ecosystem building out here. Yeah, so right now we got 7 different, not 7 different types of coffee. Let's see, we've got the Boss level, which is an African espresso, and that's in a ground. We're waiting to get whole bean approval on this, but this is going to be your dark kind of crema espresso. You can still do a classic drip over it and it'll still be good, but you can also do an espresso with your espresso machine on that. The Dude's Blend we just covered. And then we've got another blend that's a bit more robust with anti-lag, and you can get the Dude's Blend and anti-lag both in whole bean or ground coffee. So, and then another bag that we're working on is Spawn Point, a nice light blonde roast. It's a good starting point. That's why I call it Spawn Point. So there's your gamer reference. But looking forward to that one too. But enough on the coffee. It looks like things are still being worked on here for our website as far as our counter. And I think we'll probably end this episode once we've smoke test that together. And we'll continue work on either the coffee shop or something along those lines, or the 2 lists that I was talking about here. And then I think we'll be pretty close to starting to throw our first kind of project or app to work on in here, a web app or something. So, but we'll figure that out. And yeah, so I'll let Codex keep working here, and I'll come back to you all here in just a moment. Okay, so Codex just finished up work and said that the durable homepage visit counter is built and deployed. So that's awesome. So we just need to refresh over here. Yep, so Supabase is now connected safely to our abandoned Robinhood projects. We got to just rename that later. And it looks like I actually don't have a GitHub repo for this project yet. So we'll be creating that's like our next big thing we need to do. So we'll go through, that'll be a good next session and video is all about GitHub. And because GitHub is confusing as all hell, especially if you're not a developer or on the techie side and you're just getting started into this, GitHub will make your head spin. So I'll try to do my best to simplify it and break it down into layman's terms for us regular dudettes. But yeah, let's refresh and see if we got our counter. Boom, there it is. Visits a little bit different than I envisioned, but I'm okay with it. A lot of times it'll surprise you. You'll imagine one thing and then totally get something else, but be pleasantly surprised. So there we are. We're the first one on there. So next time we log on, we'll see if it bumps to number 2. And yeah, let's fill this bad boy up. So kind of cool. Just a fun little thing to throw on there. So that will do it for this session. Thank you all for joining me. Your time is much appreciated, and hope you have a great day. Stay safe.